You've been fortunate enough to actually share some experiences on the track with Max. Do you really think that in 2026 this place is just going to be crazy?
1,000,000,000%.
Misha, I'm so pleased to say that this is now our 5th episode together in the back of this van. Can you believe in 2 years we've done all of that talking?
Wow, that's actually quite insane.
Quite...
I am the most recurring guest on your channel.
But I think that's a good thing because unlike a lot of other guests, unlike myself, the rate at which you have experiences and produce content is so far beyond most that I think there's actually a reason to come around more often to do it. And as an example, before we recorded today, I got Toby to look up a little stat, and I've recorded 36 podcasts since the last time I was here. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's 2 a week. I've been to America. You've recorded 168 videos you've put out since then, just on the main channel, excluding Mark II and other stuff. So I think I'm right by saying that the pace of your life moves a lot faster.
Yeah, partially you are correct if we speak about content, but there's a lot more than content alone what I'm doing. Some things you do see on the channel or on my socials, the businesses that I have founded, co-founded, you name it, and the other ventures that I'm doing. Most importantly, of course, also my family that you almost do not see on social media, occasionally post here and there. So there's a lot of things happening, of course, in my life. Yes.
So that's why I'm actually going to come all the way back to our first episode, because so much has happened in that 2 years between then and now, and ask the infamous question to you again of, in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's actually a nice one. I like that you ask, because the answer now is going to be completely different than when we started, because back at the time, my answer was probably I'm a content creator. I drive laps at the Nürburgring, and it still is. I'm a content creator, which is my main job, quote unquote. Most people know me from living and working at the Nürburgring, which of course comes with the fact that I drive the track, either as a hobby, either professionally, semi-professionally. I race professionally, and I drive mostly other people's cars, and also my own, of course. But since 2 years ago, there's also a lot more to it. So 2 years ago, I co-founded a company called Vulcan Alpha, where we are sitting right now, actually, where the van is sitting in, that is focused on engineering for the automotive, with focus on aerodynamic mods. So wings, splitters, everything in between. And we're now even venturing out into complete car builds, something you have actually seen off camera, and we will show you maybe later in the future to the public. So there's Vulcan Alpha, where we build cars, we make our own cars, customer cars, we maintain cars. In addition, I've also Ristretto, which is a coffee bar at the Nürburgring. So we do coffee. I have an event agency. I have a car giveaway company. I have a stake in a merchandising company that I'm wearing right now. What else do I have? I think I'm missing something out.
Well, that brings us nicely, that bit right there, to say that this was going to be our Christmas special, but we couldn't link up close enough to Christmas to put the episode out even closer towards Christmas. So this is the pre-Christmas special that's pre. And because it's that, I think we've actually got a little gift for one another, am I right in saying? So
yes.
I've got for you, from the kind people at Hera, a wonderful hoodie to don around the track. It's like 60 GSM. I probably got that wrong, but it's absolutely insane if you can get into the bag. Go on. Go on. Oh, okay. That's it. Straight in. Oh. And that will keep you warm, because it's actually, there's literal frost on the ground outside.
Yes.
And it's extremely cold at the minute.
It's very nice.
And I believe in the festive spirit, you have something over there too, which I'm pretty sure the kind people at Hera from one episode won't mind me donning.
Yeah, absolutely. I got, since I'm wearing a Christmas sweater.
It's the Christmas special.
Yeah.
I think the kind guys at Hera won't mind me popping on a Christmas special.
I'm giving you a very special one. It's a limited edition, one of the 300 merino wool Nürburgring sweaters. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think the camera angle would have been on me for that. If the editors still want their jobs. Well, there we go. Now we're wrapped up. I actually want to properly begin with a success story that's come from this year, because Road to Success is all about success stories. And in October, you made a rather cool post after you and your team came first in the NLS race with Jimmy Broadbent, who's been on the podcast, and the other guys. What was that like for you? Because you wrote in your own post that it was the breaking of a curse that's kind of been over you for some time.
Yeah, exactly. As some may or may not know, as mentioned already in the intro, I'm racing professionally this year, and for the last 3 years. We've been racing for Bilstein, managed by Team Black Falcon. In the last 2 years, we've been running BMW M4 GT4 on the Nürburgring and the Endurance Series, so Nürburgring NLS, and the 24 Hours of Nürburgring. So this year started actually phenomenal, because our first race, we immediately got P1. So we won our class. We were like, okay, we set the pace. It's great. Second race, P2. Third race, P2. Fourth race, P2. Again, P2, P2. So the rest of the season was P2, and always because something silly. We would either have a code 60 ahead of us, so it would be slowed down, or we had also a disadvantage that we are with 4 drivers, whereas the other teams are with 3 drivers, so we're missing out on the pit stop time. So we would literally, like, the gap between us and the winner would always be like literally just maybe like 3 seconds, or exactly 30 seconds, which we would be wasting on the pit stop. So it became a meme. It became a meme of a fact, like, hey, we have a curse that we're just like getting P2. Although we won beginning of the year, we won already like last year multiple times. And then, well, luckily, finally, the last year, just like we started great, we finished on a positive note, we have won the Nürburgring endurance race, which was quite good.
I saw the post go out, and it was also really nice for Jimmy, because I've had him on the podcast for the first time this year, and going from his beginnings and where he started sim racing to also being, I know he's done lots of other races, but just seeing him celebrate with you guys was so nice. I know he's just done his race for mental health on YouTube as well, which I checked this morning was on like 90-something thousand pound and well ahead of the target. But if any of you guys want to go and check out that, I'll leave a link in the description to donate towards Jimmy's cause. But the emotions that we're going through at that point, because that's a big deal for the Nürburgring, that race, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, Nürburgring is the most challenging track in the world to drive. So driving here by itself is already quite an achievement. Making to the finish line is already something to be proud of. Being in the top 3, and then let alone winning in the GT4, which is one of the highest classes, together with GT3, maybe even more difficult ones, because the cars are a bit harder to drive because you don't have as much downforce than a GT3. Now, before people are going to start bashing me like, oh, you're saying GT3 drivers are less professional than him. No, the car is more challenging. The level of competitiveness is also higher. Anyway, hard to drive. So yeah, to win that is quite a big deal. It's something to be proud of.
So I've got to ask, because it's something that I don't necessarily understand or knew, which I think will be the same for a lot of the audience. But so you're competing with a team of 4, but you don't have to compete with a team of 4.
You can. Some people drive it on their own. They drive a 4-hour race all by themselves. That's also possible, for sure.
So what's obviously the disadvantage of having 4 of you is pit stops.
Yes.
But do you gain sharpness because of the level of the race?
No, not really. In our case, it's really like, because the project started, by project I call our team of drivers, to going from influencer to the professional driver, or from a sim racer to a professional driver, or from who knows what into who knows what. It was Steve, Jimmy, and myself. Them two, the sim racers, me, just a local regular guy who has some racing experience, and they put us in a race car. And then they put number 4 with us, which is Manuel Metzger. He has won the 24-hour race overall in the GT3, and back in 2016 he was a P2 in 17 or 18, I believe. So someone with a lot of experience to actually bring us up to the real pro level, like to give us all the inside outs and do all the data analysis, and also to function as a team for the main event, which is the 24 Hours of Nürburgring. So for us, it was more like, we're a team, we're going to be driving, we're going to be having fun, we'll be driving as is, and we stuck to that. The only thing what we've actually done differently in the very last race, we realized if the first driver drives only, I believe it was 4 laps or something, So less than a full stint, because the less you drive, the less of a mandatory pit stop time you have. So if someone is willing to take the sacrifice to drive less, we are going most likely to win if everything goes well. And this is what we've done.
Did you have to have that conversation prior to the race?
We've done it. And you know what's the funny fact is? I said, I'm doing it. And you know what's the funny thing is? I've never done a start of a race in my life on the Nürburgring before. Like, I've done multiple other races, also on the Nürburgring, like a short sprint races, but not the endurance, because I was kind of like, whatever, you know? And it was extremely tricky one because it was drizzling, it was raining, but not raining enough to put the car on wet slicks. So everyone was on dry slicks and the conditions were horrible.
It was proper mixed, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot of crashes. Like the first lap, it was, I think 1/3 of the field didn't make it towards the end of the race. It was quite tricky, but it was a great decision because I made 2 fastest laps of the overall class. So the pace was really good. All the wet laps have paid off. And yeah, I handed over the car to, might have been Jimmy or something back at the time. I don't remember. So yeah, and yeah, it was a very good race.
I want to pick apart a little thing that you said in there, which was you brought in the 4th member of the team. Is it Mark?
Yeah, Manuel.
Yeah. So you brought him in because he was a Nürburgring 24-hour winner. He's like, and you just described him as on that other level of ability and talent. When everybody see you daily uploading, they can take in all of those laps that you do in all those mixed conditions in all of these different cars, and the fact that you have the engineering expertise behind them. What is the bit that makes him, you describe him as that level maybe versus yourself?
Well, first of all, the experience, and if we speak about me as a driver or as a content creator, we can actually immediately say, and I'm open about saying it, that all of those laps in racing world are useless. They even hold me back in a certain way, because I drive on street cars, on street tires, not having the downforce levels, not having the full slicks, not with a car that I should not crash. Also not a race car, of course, but I'm always having a bit of extra holding back. Whereas in the race, you need to push to the limit, and you can push and you should push. And more importantly, races won are quite often not by minutes, not by seconds. Even in 24-hour races, after 24 hours, sometimes the gap is just 10 or 15 seconds.
Over the course of how big the Nürburgring is as well.
Over the course of 24 hours. So after 24 hours, the gap could be still like 10 or 15 seconds between P1 to 3. So you're looking for literally milliseconds per corner to see like, okay, I could go faster there because I lift only 10% of the throttle, or I should be like 10 centimeters more to the right. There are like these kind of things that you would figure out. And, especially when you're just new in the car, when you have more opinions about the car setup, what could be done differently, you can test a lot of things. And one person can show that it's actually working, whereas the other person might say like, oh no, this is bad. But like, no, you see, this is actually working. So let's keep it that way. And this is how you should drive that part of the track. So there's a lot of things to it.
To film this podcast with Misha, myself and Toby set off on the 9-hour each-way journey to the Nürburgring. So it's important for us that we can diagnose any issues with our VW Crafter podcast studio at any time. This is why we keep an OBD11 on board at all times, and the new 3rd generation device can even stay plugged into the vehicle's OBD port without draining the battery. This little device is a user-friendly car diagnostics and customization tool designed for every driver. It's licensed by leading car manufacturers like VW, BMW, Lexus, Toyota and Ford. And it's the easiest way to diagnose, customize and improve your vehicle's performance, which will save you time and money in the long run. All you have to do is plug the device into the vehicle's OBD port, fire up the app and find out what's wrong with it. We've used an OBD11 before when we've had an engine warning light appear on our dash on a trip to Europe, and the device was able to diagnose it was nothing serious, just a sensor. But if it was serious, we'd have known that we had to call for help. The pocket-sized device is great to take with you if you're buying a car, because you're able to do a pre-sale check, scans of the vehicle to make sure there's nothing wrong with it, as well as completing a hybrid battery check. The OBD11 Black Friday sale is now on, and you can get one of these devices and the Ultimate plan for up to 40% off, and you can get another 5% off by using my code RTS. This is the biggest discount you can get on OBD11, so make sure that you check them out using the pinned comment of this video and the link in the description, and making sure you use my code for that extra 5% off of RTS. Well, when you look at how big the Nürburgring is, and you said it at the start, there's nothing quite like it on Earth. I think you almost have to go to tracks that aren't tarmac necessarily, like something like Pikes Peak is what I'm getting at, to get to the level of how different of an experience it is driving on the Nürburgring. So what are like a couple of challenges during that race that you would only come across on the Nürburgring versus maybe doing it at Spa?
Well, actually, Spa is very similar to the Nürburgring when it comes to the biggest challenge, and that is being geographically located in the mountains of the Eifel. So the weather can be, I mean, Spa is slightly smaller. It's 7 kilometers versus 21 or 25, depends what configuration you're counting. Therefore, here we can have 4 seasons of the year in one lap. In Spa, you might have just 2 or 3, basically. So that's the biggest challenge. Have every lap having different conditions. That, of course, then again, you have also bumps, jumps, elevation changes, the grip levels, because here over the years, they changed the tarmac because they resurfaced certain area because it's cracking or it's being not that good. So one part of the track is becoming more grippy, the other one is becoming less grippy. So if you're a regular here, you can get a lot of win by knowing simply the grip levels, not even the bumps. So for example, like every year, like I said, they resurface the part of the track, and the major difference is wet and dry line, because in the wet, when the track is covered in wet, the Nürburgring Nordschleife is the most occupied piece of tarmac in the world, because you have here industry pool, you have here prototypes, testing, racing, etc., etc. Every day there's nonstop pretty much traffic going on, and they leave a layer of rubber on the track. So when it becomes wet, it becomes like ice. So in the wet, you need to be completely on the opposite side of the track and avoid that in braking zones and turning points and etc. But when they resurface a part of the track, for about 2.5 to 3 years, it has optimal grip. So you can actually take the ideal line on those surfaces, but you need to know where you can do it. So you can actually full send it pretty much there, and you can gain, between 5 to 10 seconds a lap, maybe. You know, there are so many things.
That's the difference right there, or one of the differences between what makes the Nürburgring. The Nürburgring, I know on lots of tracks there ends up being a line that's more rubbered in. And when I've driven the Nürburgring in the wet on Cup 2s and in a 4-wheel drive R8, you realise just how slippy and dangerous it can be. But is it sometimes hard out there to almost drive a line that you know isn't the optimal racing line versus where the grip is? To make that calculation.
I mean, for sure. I mean, for the beginner driver, that would be always the case. You would always incline to drive the normal line and then just think no, I need to be, because that's how it goes. But that's indeed what separates someone who knows what to do and what not to do.
Is that a lot harder for the sim racers? Because even though the software they're racing on, like iRacing, etc., is so advanced, but is it advanced to that level? Like you say, you spend that much time out there getting to learn where that grip is and where it isn't. Would you say on like iRacing, for example, that's anywhere close?
Yes and no. I mean, when you put funny enough, like now that you mention iRacing or even Assetto Corsa Competizione, when you put like the wetness level of the track in the sim to the highest, the grip levels of the tarmac might be equal, but the amount of puddles on the ideal line will be higher. So in the sim, you would still have to avoid the ideal line. But essentially, I mean, of course, you would need to learn the small things that the sim does not have always, and that comes also to the wet and dry line.
I think it's also the bit I'm leading on to, which we'll get on to later in the podcast, is drivers like Max who haven't had a huge amount of experience on the circuit.
Max? Which Max?
It's only France. It's only when you understand these like little additional details and facts, and the thing that the casual Nürburgring visitor might not kind of get down to the nitty gritty of, that you realise, and people like Jimmy who's raced so much on the sim, that you realise what a jump they've essentially taken to get it right and not make those mistakes and not be putting in the lap times that they're doing. But sticking to the time on track for a minute, with everything else going on this year, Vulcan Alpha, Race Tretto, the events company, giveaways, have you spent as much time in the cars doing laps?
I think by my Excel sheet from this year.
Oh, you can tell he's got the German in him, can't you?
Not German. Hold on, let's behave. No, I think I've done this year maybe like 30 cars less than last year, which is still towards 400 cars and towards or over 1,000 laps. So a similar amount, I would say still.
1,000 laps, 10 minutes a lap on average.
Something like that.
Something like
sometimes
that. That's a lot of hours in the car out there. A lot of hours in the car.
Yeah.
When you are doing that year after year after year for that many laps, for that many hours that I'm not even mathematically capable of calculating, so I'm a bit stupid in that sense, is there still stuff that you're learning every year about the track, every lap?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Does it surprise you sometimes?
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that I hate doing, but I love doing, is going out as a passenger with other people that are more experienced. I hate because I'm like, the better driver you become, the more you want to be in control and the more scared you are not being in control. So part of me is like, but the other part is like, oh, that's an interesting line. I could maybe try it myself. And like, oh, it's actually working. Maybe not with this car, but maybe with the other car or maybe in any other weather conditions. So
what you're telling me is, in one of our previous podcasts, you told me that you were going to stop allowing so many passengers in the car with you and kind of go out on your own to reduce the risk.
Yep.
And what you've decided to do is flip that completely on the head, lose all control and go in the passenger seat of their cars.
No, not correctly true. I mean, I'm still avoiding as much as I can, and also in the past going out with people that I don't know. The people I know that have like a ring record, not a lap record, but a proven X amount of laps. Yeah, that they show that they actually know what they're doing. I'm happy to go out with in like a proper circumstances, of course, if I know the car and the driver and etc.
Because you've been out with, excuse me, I don't know her name, but I know she's like growing in terms of popularity, the laps that she's doing at the Nürburgring.
Vika?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you've been out with her recently, I saw, and did a lap.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah. Actually, like, especially when I went out with her last year in her car, that's pretty much really rocket launched her influencer career, because that video got like over 1 million views. People all of a sudden like, hold on a second, girl at the Nürburgring, what's happening?
This hasn't happened since Sabine Smith.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually called her like the next Sabine because it's unique. There are more girls out there, but she has the same kind of, and I don't want to say it in a disrespectful manner, but like this really farmer humor, like very like Sabine was also like that, because essentially Sabine, why everybody loved her is because she was just like a local village girl, was doing laps, but she was like, although she made it to winning 24-hour race to Top Gear and everything, here around she would still be at the pub and like she would be tapping beer straight into some guy's mouth from the bar, like, you know, this kind of things, and because she was still the local village girl. And that's what Vika is essentially. Also, she gives that kind of vibe, you know. So and of course a bit driving skills and etc. etc. So
I think you need to make sure you get some kegs in race Tratter in the evening, and we can turn it into a bar from a coffee shop every now and then.
Dude, I would have had so much more, not only with Race Tratter, but also with any other business, if we were in some other country where you would not have regulation after regulation after regulation after regulation.
Because we've spoke about this before, and it's only, I never knew anything about this until I spoke to you in one of our previous podcasts. But to do anything in Germany relating to any form of business at all is like, in the UK, for every one hoop you'd have to jump through, there's kind of 3 over here to get through. It's insane, right?
Dude, it's horrible. I mean, the last 2 years, I mean, like this place, and myself included, we went probably bankrupt, like nearly, like, you know, these stories that you hear from like top businessmen like Tesla, Nvidia and stuff, where they had, okay, we have just 1 week left to pay our people and then we're screwed. We had this like 5-6 times where I'm thinking like, all right, well, fine now, but if this is not going to solve, we're in big trouble, like, you know. And some of it was literally caused by the fact that we could not have a business. Like, I'll give you, it started already from the start. I might as well give you like this fun story. So we decided to start Vulcan Alpha on the 1st of January 2024, basically beginning of last year. So we've done that. We signed our rental contract with our previous first workshop for the 1st of February, and then we would start moving. So January, we're still spending time with our family and friends on the holidays and et cetera. We come back, we start moving in February. And then by March, we kind of want to start doing business. You know, we set up the workshop, we set everything, and we're like, still waiting for a tax number to operate. You know, like, what the hell is happening? We're like, why? And we're waiting simply from at the beginning, we were thinking like, okay, maybe it's holidays. Because, so we decided to go to the tax office because no one is picking up the phone when you call them. So we arrived there at the tax office, like half an hour away from here, from the German tax authorities. And it says, yeah, we're closed. We're only open like Tuesday and Thursday from 11 till 1. We're like, you're right. Sure, no comment. We went there then the following day on a Thursday and we're like, kind of would like to have a tax number so we can operate a business. And they're like, oh, who are you? Like, you're this and this company. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we thought this might be money laundering. Like, you thought what? Yeah, well, because, you know, motorsport, it's very known for money laundering, and you're at the Nürburgring, and the biggest also issue is that you are a team of 7 peoples with 4 shareholders. So me, Diana, Lapo, back at the time, also Maggie, my wife, and Marta, actually 5, because we founded 2 different companies, Vulcan Alpha and the 3MD event management company, which were overlapping with type of people. And we're like, yeah, so you're like 5 shareholders, but none of you are German either. So it's like, we're thinking like, maybe this is not legit. Oh, thank you for thinking. Could you not like ask us? Or like, maybe, yeah, okay, we're going to send an expert.
See, to be fair to the UK, and it's very rare that I think everybody from England would and Scotland and Wales would ever, they would all agree with me here. It's very rare to say, to be fair to the UK, but it does cost 12 quid and a couple of clicks to set a company up in the UK.
I have also like business in the Netherlands. I have had businesses in also other countries. I was involved in like stuff in Croatia, etc. So I know how stuff goes there. Same thing. You have one mouse click, you do everything. Germany was, up until a certain point, and maybe still is to a certain extent, the leading country in the EU, but is the worst country when it comes to the communication. Like all the digitalization, it just simply does not exist. If you need to do it to government officials, you still need to send a fax. And at one point, I needed something from the government. I sent them a freaking fax. I had to find a fax machine. I called them up like, hey, could I please get an answer because I sent you this, which was a deadline for me to send to you. You know what their reply was? Oh yeah, the app that we used to read the fax is not working. I'm like, are you what? The app you use to access your fax files are not working. Why don't you use a freaking email? Oh yeah. Dude. Anyway, the expert comes. He checks at Vulcan Alpha because we're like kind of workshop is set up and etc. It's like, yeah, okay, this looks good. He goes to the other office of 3MD of the other company, and because we decided to operate from one company to the other, it's like, yeah, but here like the chairs are missing. I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? I need to have a freaking tax number so I can buy stuff. Yeah, makes sense, but yeah, this doesn't look like a functional business. I'm like, yeah, because you need a tax number so you can actually function. Yeah, okay, we'll do that, but I'm going to come back after to check it. So there were so many things that I'm like, guys, really? Like also like the fast forward to now, for example, I might be getting sidetracked, but let me like vent. Like, you know, we moved into this new location here at the industry park. It's fantastic. It's
literally got Manti next door.
Manti next door. We have
opposite. Aston Martin's literally there. Goodyear have got the biggest half tires.
Everyone.
So everybody is here.
The biggest names are here. So what would you need, since we already brought up this topic, what would you need in UK to start a workshop?
Yeah, a couple of clicks on Company's House, maybe a HSE report, a health and safety report, make sure that somebody in there is qualified to fix somebody up if they fall down in the middle of the day.
So health and safety.
Yeah, you can pretty much get it all together.
About a building, can it be just like building?
It depends what class the unit is. So we do have classes of units, and I'm not an expert in it, but most of the time, if it's an industrial building, and they expect those types of businesses to be on the part. There'll be that class. I think gyms struggle the most in the UK to get the right kind of class to trade, but not workshops, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, basically here to start a workshop, and my goal was to have a workshop running for the season. Well, we had everything finalized when the season was already pretty much over. Because, of course, first of all, to work on the cars, you need to have not just a qualified technician, but so-called like a mechanic that owns a Meister brief, that is really qualified to work on other people's cars. That, of course, only applies to working on the German street registered cars, that in case like a wheel falls off, you're still insured. Fair play. Should be like that, sure. But then you needed to have everything, the purpose of the building needs to be actual purpose to be a workshop. So at the beginning, the purpose of this building, Nutzungsänderung, it was a warehouse. So we had to have a team of architects come here to check everything, to make a report, to tell us what we need to change to qualify it from a warehouse to like an actual workshop, and to see if that is okay. Well, guess what? We changed a bit of wiring, but it's mostly even for the lifts. We installed a few fire extinguishers. It took us, I think, 4 months to get everything approved, and a few tens of thousands of euros.
And you're having, at that point, to pump in extra money from your other earnings to Vulcan Alpha.
No, of course, yeah.
Because you're not able to fully operate to the point that you need to.
Yeah. And the reason why we started also, like, for example, the workshop is because I saw it as a necessity to put more money in the company, because our main business, what we founded on to actually engineer, design, and manufacture aerodynamic components or other components, was also not really going well, because we were reliant on suppliers, CNC and carbon fiber, etc., who were promising a lot, but were either not delivering at all or delivering faulty products. So the first 1.5 year of the business,
basically R&D.
Yeah, it was R&D, and the problem is you're naive to a certain extent. You're trusting people. You're trusting first certain individuals who tell you like, hey, I'm going to make you the best product, and he delivers the first product that looks on par with the top of the line there. But then the next time he delivers a wing that is literally narrower than the spec you ordered for the car for a customer, or doesn't deliver anything at all and then goes MIA for 2 weeks. And then when he delivers something after that, when you start already pressing him with legal manners, the wing that he delivered like splits open in half or something at a high speed. There were so many things that we had to go through from the first. And then we went to another supplier, which also promised a lot, and we put a down payment in December, and then it would not happen for months. So it was quite challenging. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because the first time I came onto the show, it had just 4,000 subs. Now it has over 100,000, and you do not want to miss out the sick content that's going to come when the show is going to be 1 million. So you can say in the comments, I was there from the very start. So subscribe, and see you at the next time I will be on this show and many others.
So when you're going through that, or when you remember going through those initial kind of growing pains, the kind of more than growing pains, the deep growing gashes by the sound of it, did you ever think that you would be at the point where you see
Mercedes 190 and the Civic?
Exactly, the Civic, the 190, but stuff like the Mustang, that's like one of your main projects at the minute up there. And what you were telling me you're going to do with the wing on that car is literally crazy. I don't know if you want to give anybody a little secret with that, but...
No, on the Civic, that's going to be the other wing. But
is that going on the Civic, not the Mustang?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, the Mustang already has its wing. It's a DRS. But the other thing, we have some plans to, because we're always evolving, and we need to bring out new and exciting products on the market. So Civic is going to get something more extreme, what I want to say. But to answer your question, was I ever thinking of that? Yes, 100%. Because I did not start this as a small thing, or with the intention of remaining just a workshop behind another workshop that is changing brake pads and making occasionally a fast car for the Nürburgring. If you want, not if you want a pony, ask for a unicorn. Well, actually, essentially also that. But if you want to go to the moon, shoot for the stars or something like that, so and that's what we're doing. And over the years, more importantly, I have witnessed and been part of very inspirational stories that also started from either absolutely nothing or have been also gone broke and now are leading car manufacturers of the world, for example.
A bit like Mate Rimac, for example?
Yeah, exactly. He's a good inspiration and sort of a friend of mine. I spent every Christmas with him together, so there's a lot of things we do together and we're very close, and I know he's been also through the same things and even worse, like literally back in 2016, 17, electricity was switched off like two or three times a year. Like the company had no electricity because he chose to pay the salaries of the people and not electricity. There were things like that. He had to sell his own cars and his own assets to make the company running. And now he is quite okay, I would say. He still has other problems, of course, that are very luxury to have. But, sometimes I would go to him with advice. I'm saying like, dude, like we have this issue with product or supplier or this. He's like, dude, be ready. This is nothing. Like it's going to get worse.
That quote you said there is one of my favorites since starting Road to Success, which is if you want to go to the moon, shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
When you apply that quote to what you're doing in Vulcan Alpha, and I want to try and make this visual for people because they can start to build a picture in their heads, because I always think of the audience, you guys listening, as kind of a core audience that know absolutely everything, but the vast majority will be the casual audience of dip in and dip out. And when I think you're saying things like workshop versus the work that we're doing at Vulcan Alpha, I think that people might just mold that into, the workshop part of this building was you allowing people to come to the Nürburgring and basically use the facility to work on their cars. Vulcan Alpha was actually making the parts to go on cars.
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes hand in hand. I mean, there's a lot of things we're doing. Like I said, in essence, we're an engineering company with focus on aerodynamic enhancements. So it's manufacturing or designing and also, partially manufacturing of wings, splitters, canards, flat floors, you name it, bespoke and more bolt-on, direct plug-and-play kits. So we have kits for BMWs, for G-Series, for F-Series, for 992 GT3, for Porsche, that consists out of wing splitter and suspension upgrades. But we're also doing completely bespoke things. So, for example, someone has built, 2,000 horsepower twin turbo Huracan. We had actually a client like that, and he said, I'm doing drag racing, I need a wing that has more stability at acceleration, but it can go open on the fastest straights. Can you make me DRS wings, but DRS wing that is really specific for drag racing application, that is actually opening up more than the traditional DRS wing? We can do that. We can tailor-made like really to a car with all the CFD analysis, etc.
How do you do that without a wind tunnel?
Nowadays, I can tell you that a very good and a very expensive CFD software can get you already results close to 95% of like the actual result. The last 5% are intended to Formula One teams that need to get that 1 millisecond per lap, or manufacturers that need to get 1 gram of CO2 reduction on resistance. For people like us, a majority of people, this is enough. And I'm going to say that majority of aftermarket, like aerodynamic enhancement mods companies, you do not see any wind tunnel data from them either. Even like car manufacturers quite often do not show the data. Do they have access to it? Yes. But sometimes like the gains are even so little that it's not even worth bragging about. But going back to the fact that 95% is already accurate enough to do design if you know what you're doing, the rest is up to the final tuning on the track. And luckily we have a track in our backyard where we can do all the testing that we need to do to see if stuff works.
Well, everybody on this estate has a track in their backyard because there are so many people, as we said here, and I've got to bring up the people that are actually directly next to you, which is Manti, and there's literally a Manti 992 GT3 RS there. I'm really lucky that I've got a 991 2 GT3 RS with a Manthey kit on it. And I kind of understand that, because when I look at the Manthey kit, I think, okay, I can see the bigger end plates, I can see the bigger wing, I can see the canards, I can see how that's different. I know how the suspension's different. I get it. I get the kit. It's very visual, and it's just like a bolt on one thing. Is what you guys are doing closer to that, or is it closer to like almost custom development of cars? And where in your kind of long-term future, do you think you'll be a very different thing to Manthey?
Well, first of all, what Manthey have achieved is absolutely mind-blowing. To go towards that direction would be like definitely a dream and a goal to a certain extent. Because what they're doing more than just like kits alone. They're doing racing. They have their own subdivisions for racing, customer racing. Now they launched a brand that does like actual racing equipment with all the sensors and pit equipment and etc. So yes, I mean, in the future, we are definitely going to expand and be offering more, because right now also we're making things like carbon cup holders for BMW CS CSL and also Aero kits, etc. The big difference, what we are doing now, opposite of what Manthey is doing, Manthey is still, they have most of their kits that that you mentioned, they are really bounded by the street regulations. So they're optimizing the maximum what you can have within the street regulations that the German market is allowing you to.
And for Porsche only.
And for Porsche. So what we also need to say is, because Manthey is 51% owned by Porsche, it needs to be still not too crazy. For various reasons, because if it gets too crazy, you're going to cannibalize your customers from racing. So it needs to still be streetable to a certain extent, and needs to be also within the rules. Now, this is something that we tried actually from the start when we started the company. Our very first wing products were TÜV approved, so for the German market and European market, with all the TÜV certification, that it would be street legal for the German market. But the blessing and the curse that I have a big reach all over the world. So that reach came to Vulcan Alpha. That reach from US, from Asia, from Emirates would be asking, why is your wing so small? Can you make something bigger? We're like, yeah, we can make you something custom, sure. And then to the next guy, something custom. Then we realized it makes for us more sense, actually, you know what, to step out of this like boundaries of TÜV regulations and make something that would really work much, much better by utilizing more out-of-the-box thinking. So more aggressive splitters, more aggressive wings that would go out of the silhouette for the German street legality. Because, well, you can tell me, what does a car need to have in UK to be street legal?
Number plates, to be honest, MOT. And I think the one that's baffled me the most would be the listeners from America right now, is every time I land in the US and like go down the main freeway in LA, the first thing that I notice is like a Civic with the front bumper hanging off, literal bars coming out. And I think it depends on country to country what you're allowed and what you aren't, really.
Yeah, so basically, in essence, to kind of cut down again to the question, whether are we the same as Manthey? No, definitely not in this stage, because we need to offer something else what other people already don't offer. We are also not bound by certain regulations. We try to cater to the niche of people who are car owners, car enthusiasts, who live all over the world. They either do not have the regulations of having the necessity of having narrow splitter or a wing on their car. They want the maximum performance, and that's what we cater to. And where that is going to lead in the future, I don't know.
But that's what I was going to ask. Where is it going to lead in the future? Because this goes towards basically making custom cars, which does lead towards you making your own car. So do you think that what started out when we both sat in this van 2 years ago as content creating on the Nurburgring, this being your home, could lead to the place that you say you get to the moon by shooting for the stars, to the point that you could have your very own car?
Maybe, possibly. I mean, to answer the question, I mean, right now I'm building something for myself already, with the goal of having it running, I can give you some teasers and insiders, like it's We're planning to have the rolling chassis by end or mid of 2027, and then to have it actually running in competitive style, maybe 28, 29. So we are already working like 4 years from now.
That's how long it takes.
Yeah, because we're drawing everything from the scratch, basically. To answer again the question, it's not going to be a road legal car. It's going to be like a pure racing, like, and built for myself only, in the sense of it's not going to be bound by regulations. It's just something I want to have for myself to show what our company can do, and I want to have fun on track days or somewhere else.
Well, it sounds like the cars going into the future are only going to get more and more and more and more and more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the chats that we've had over the last couple of years is also not only finding the tenths on track, but finding the tenths off track. And that's with a bit of safety as well, because you've now got a wonderful son that somehow knows how to steer left and right. Who would have thought after just 4 months?
Yeah.
And the pressures of definitely starting to make sure that you're not finding every single tenth on every single public session out on the ring. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of things have changed. If we speak about that, I mean, this year I made a decision to actually, as I mentioned already here, to not to take passengers anymore with me on the laps on public sessions with their own cars that I do not know, do not trust, cannot be 100% sure.
Which is a massive decision for you, because I mean, you took me out the first time I came here, and granted, it was only, let's say, a 200 horsepower car, but I definitely had enough reactions during that drive. And I think the reaction to most of your viewers is like a huge part of it, seeing how the person reacts. So was that a big fear when you did that versus what the actual result's been?
Yes. I mean, yes and no. I mean, for me personally, it was about the safety aspect. And I might actually, by now, which month are we in? Like, we're like almost December, November. Yeah, I can actually speak about it freely. So there is a safety aspect of genuinely being afraid that if something happens, I mean, I can buy someone else a new car. That's legit my quote. I can build them or buy a new car, but if they lose their eye or an arm, I cannot buy that. The technology is not there today yet to replace a limb or worse, alive. So that was legit my concern. But what made it even on top of that is that there's also mental health concern. So someone might say, I got so scared, I have to take the bus for the rest of my life. Please, Misha, well, I'm going to sue you and you need to pay me for my public transport for the rest of the life or my mental health treatment. It can go this far. It did not, but at a certain point you start thinking like, I just need to have one guy or a girl or whatever that is going to do that and is going to...
Did you think then, were you scared by a circumstance that had happened kind of make you think that way?
No, it was like a certain thing. So basically, to wrap it all up, what I'm doing, like with all my content, I'm driving most of it on public session, during public session, Nürburgring, etc. I have a special media license from the Nürburgring that allows me to do these things. But I'm not operating as a business, an official business, compared to, for example, Ring Taxi, where they have a license to take people out on track. And because they're a business, they also have terms and conditions where customers come and sign that they're not liable for, like, if something happens, your own fault, like, et cetera, et cetera. I cannot do that during public sessions. I had legal team look into all the certain things. I can have them sign that I'm not liable for their car. But if they signing this, there needs to be a clause that says I'm still responsible for their physical and mental health. I'm like, you know what? Nah.
But have the videos that you've put out of just you still been performing, if not better than you anticipated them to?
Yes.
The past?
Yeah. So before going into that, I'm still taking people out. I'm doing taxi laps on track days because there people come and sign. And there I'm driving the car that I know that I have built. I know it's 100% sure and it's okay, and et cetera, because some of the greatest videos I've done is that like some super random thing happens on the car that not owned by me. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh yeah, it's occasionally it does that. The brakes do like up by themselves. Like, what?
You can't put it into sixth. Like, get back into fifth.
Yeah, no, things like that, it's like, it's like the most insane things I have experienced probably on track. So I do not take people out in their own cars on public sessions, on track days. I still might do it because there is a liability waiver, and I definitely take people out on taxi laps on track days, and I definitely take out my family members and very close friends from childhood and my own employees. I would still drive on public sessions in my own car. So the laps are still going to be there with passengers one way or another. Now, to answer your question whether I was scared back at the time, well, 100%. Like, I was thinking, who knows what's going to happen? And more importantly, my wife, my business partners, people close to me said, Misha, this is suicide in terms of your channel. This is the only reason why people watch it. And it's going to be like done. I'm like, you know what? Well, then I'll have to step it up. I'll need to like be more entertaining myself. I'll just have to make it work. Now, long story short is ever since I've done this, I had 3, by now probably 4 consecutive best months on YouTube since my peak, which was like in 2023 probably or something. And the reason for that is because I am actually talking pretty much either the whole of the lap or I'm more engaging with the audience on camera. I'm talking what is happening right now, because in the past I would be like focused on, is he okay or she okay? A person next to me. Are they going to be sick? Are they going to be sick? Are they scared?
Have you ever had anybody sick in the car?
Yeah. A few times. Are they concerned what I'm doing to their car? I'm always thinking like that, and I'm also like kind of do not want to offend them with one certain thing or the other, whereas now I do not have anyone next to me. I do not be like afraid of what they think, and I'm actually talking to the camera. And long story short, the retention value is so much more higher now on YouTube because people actually stay and watch what I have to say about the car, and they actually they're caring about the car. And at the end of the day, the reason why my channel was so successful on many different ways in growth and is the variety of content. And with the variety of content comes also the variety of audience, because people might watch me because they're looking to buy a certain car and they simply end up looking for it and they end up seeing it on the Nürburgring. Hold on a second, why is there like an old Peugeot like 105 or whatever super random car on the Nürburgring? Let's watch this. Or like, let's watch a performance car and see how it performs, etc., etc. Some people watch really about the content about the car, about technicalities, how to set up the car. They just want to watch me. They want to watch how is the Nürburgring doing.
You just took a limo round, right?
Yeah, exactly. And some people indeed watch just for passenger reactions. So if you take out one equation out of the 10, you just need to replace it by something else or be better on all the other fronts. And that's what I've been doing and has been doing great.
So what have been a couple of the scarier moments this year on track? I know you had one with the Golf. Was that this year?
Yeah,
right at the start?
The Golf was a scary bit when it just decided to fly and fly for 30 meters and take off, basically. Yeah,
because wasn't that some weird air effect that's very, very rare that only happens.
The car,
circumstances.
Yeah, indeed. The car was too fast for its chassis. It had no aero. It was quite fast, and then when it went over bump, it lifted up the back completely.
Because the air was getting...
Yeah, under the bumper, it lifted the bumper up, and the car flew for like about 30 meters forward, and then when it landed, it bounced into the barrier, basically. So
that one's probably in first place.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is in the first place. I mean, other than that, you had like a random close calls where you drive and you see there's a coolant spill, like in front of you there's a trail, because the other advantage of being here for over 10,000 laps, you see every micro difference. You see every new piece of graffiti, a random mushroom growing literally next to the track, these kind of things, and you see like some trails of coolant or like that is not there before. So lots of mass crashes avoided, or single crashes avoided because someone either moved in front of me or whatever.
What freaks you out more, other drivers or the stuff off other people's cars, like coolant, liquids, etc.?
No, I think both. At the end of the day, you always need to be, just like on public roads. I think someone quoted it once, to survive on public roads, you need to assume that everyone else is an idiot. Like, be prepared for the most unexpected thing for someone else to do. And I mean, I always drive with my left foot above the brake pedal. So in case something happens, I have instant reaction of actually like really go immediately. I'm also looking for escape route. Like every time I'm approaching the car, I'm looking for an escape route. That could be either be prepared to go immediately on the brakes or be prepared to go on the grass or on the curb. If I know that the person might go already on the ideal line to the left on a track limit and I might not be able to go to the left, then I will probably avoid certain overtake. I will slow down extra considerably because I need to have XYZ, like a backup plan. What if then? So you start thinking about those things.
Do you ever get anybody that is deliberately annoying to you? And this is probably going back to the ban Misha saga when we sat in this van last time, which was the petition to have you banned from the Nürburgring this year. That I believe the last podcast we did, that the level of support for that not to happen was so unbelievable that it pretty much squashes the opinion of anybody that considered that in the first place. But do you ever get those people that are deliberately irritating out on track to you because they know it's you all deliberately trying to stay in front?
No, I don't think so, because people don't really know that it's me, because this year...
Always in something different.
No, I'm always in something different. It's going to be probably different like next year, maybe. Like, you do see occasionally, okay, when I pass someone and we exchange like eye contact and they see that it's me, then they might try to keep up a bit more than they were doing before. But I wouldn't say anyone would be deliberately blocking me on track. No, definitely not.
We spoke about the guys that you did the NLS race with, and that a lot of them have come from sim racing, me, etc. And then you had was from the 24 hours race. You've been out quite a lot this year with Ben Collins on track, someone else that's frequented this van before. Do you ever see you and him doing a race around here at some point?
I have nothing against it. I mean, like, is it a goal that we're working towards? No. If there's to come opportunity that someone decides to put us in a car together, I wouldn't say no. Like, I'm all up for new experiences in life. I mean, in fact, we actually done a sim race together the sim racing expo almost a month ago by now, where we actually raced against each other. So we have quite a good chemistry, what people have been also saying in the comments on the content that we've been putting out. So, like I said, I wouldn't be against it, just like to...
Because I watched the video where you were both in, was it your Lucid? I think it was the electric car.
Yeah.
And earlier on today, we saw a new super duper Taycan Turbo GT, but with extra bits.
With even more than multi-racing kits.
Yeah, it could have been a GTR RS Taycan or something, like an even more extreme one getting loaded off the back of a lorry just up there. Have you found yet or even come close to finding an electric experience on the Nürburgring that rivals the excitement of anything with an engine?
I mean, the answer is literally right there. For people who are listening, they should look on YouTube, because out of the van, you can see my Civic parked there.
It's pointing at a Honda.
Yeah, it's at the Honda Civic.
So we're going to need some clarification.
We need some clarification. So I do believe everything has a place and time and a purpose. And electric cars can be also definitely fast on track. And they can be also exciting to a certain extent if you can hear the noise of the electric motors and the gears and etc. etc. But for me, after having driven like literally 3,000 or 4,000 cars by now over the last so many years, my own project car is an old 90s Honda Civic that revs up very high. It's maybe not the fastest. It's up to the driver to make it fast and emotional. So electric cars, but having said that, my daily is electric. Actually, I have two dailies. One is M5 Touring, which is a hybrid, and it's also very quiet, and it also can drive full electric. And the other one is Lucid Air, which is also electric car. And before that, I had Polestar, which was also electric car. So I love electric in a daily environment because I want it to be quiet. I need to be able to either have my ADHD brain work over hours and thinking about project and problem solutions, or to listen to the music, or be able to be on the phone by calling people in business contexts to conduct meetings and not have like going through there. But this is something I do miss on the track. And I believe everyone in the world is actually wanting that extra piece of emotion.
Because my favourite ever video you've done, and I doubt it will be beaten for a very long time, is the black K20 that you took out on the ring, because it was a black Civic K20.
The EK, probably EK4.
That's it.
Where we like chasing M2 and overtaking it at the end.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Best video ever. And it's just watching your feet on the 3 pedals. And it was like, I think the sun was coming down. And it was just the excitement of every kind of minute you were thinking, I'm enjoying this even more than I thought I was the previous minute, the previous minute, the previous minute. So I can see why you've chosen one as a project car. So what exactly are you going to be doing to that, and when is it going to be ready?
It gotten very out of hand because I bought this car because I love Civics. They embody everything you would want from a proper track car. This means they're lightweight. They have quite a good suspension technology, double wishbone on the front. They have multi-link on the rear. So with a bit of tweaks, you can make it very nice compliant. Again, weight. Very low. You can get them very easily sub 1,000, sub 900 kilos. The engines are very ref happy. When you have a K-swap, K20, K24, you can go 9,000 plus RPM. Manual gearbox. You can put sequential, of course, as well. It's something that I'll be doing as well. But they embody everything. And at the time you finish the lap and you've done a good lap, it's really also a lot to the driver. You need to do it. You need to really work. You have no traction control, no ABS, no power steering in this case as well. Everything is really up to the driver. But it's not going stupid speeds. You do not have 500 or 700 horsepower and massive aero. So it's really the whole package. It's epic and still relatable and affordable, but I'm going to take it to a bit more extreme level beyond affordability and relatability. But basically what's going to happen now, the car will be full carbon fiber, with the exception, of course, of ABC pillars. But the roof carbon, the back pillars, every body component will be carbon. You can expect also lots of aero mods on the car. Active aero. The engine is being built right now, which will be K24, fully built with every single component changed, not only just pistons and a crank, but also dry sump. The head will be ported. It will run ITBs, standalone ECU. Eventually, there are already plans to run a sequential transmission, but I have just spent a lot of money on the H-pattern, and I love a H-pattern gearbox, so I want to run at least half a year with that to like really work it properly like a man. Lots of lightweight, lots of weight reduction, lots of crazy technology, including even active suspension. It will be very crazy and silly.
It brings me to ask, would you ever build a car just for your channel because you know it's what the algorithm would want? Or are you only still building cars because it's what you want?
I mean, this one goes hand in hand because this is definitely what I want because this is what I genuinely like. But this is luckily also something that the algorithm / audience wants because all the Civic videos, the views, they go mental. And this is because, again, this embodies indeed what a perfect track car needs to be. Loud, fast, engaging, exciting, and somewhat relatable. Because going back to the racing, I mean, we are racing top of the line. We're GT4. At some point, we might be doing GT3, maybe, luckily. Hopefully enough, we'll see. But we are already on the top of the food chain, so to say, with our race team. And this is unique, special for many people. It's their dream to just being able to drive on a Nürburgring, let alone to race there. But in content perspective, it's actually nobody cares. Or like in relatability to the other content, because it's not relatable. And this goes to not just us, it goes to everyone. The best thing to ever happen to Formula One is Drive to Survive series. And it's not about racing, it's about the drama around it. And this is what we also need to do. We need to a bit of dramatize and tell the story.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because it brings me on nicely to talk about Franz Hermann.
Nice.
It is important for the Nürburgring and important for the 2025 Nürburgring roundup. I feel we cannot talk about the stuff that's happened this year without kicking it off with when Franz showed up and the internet lost its mind at the fact that he put a different name on the car to just try and go under the radar a bit. And I think it had the complete opposite effect. I think it'd have gone less viral if it had just said Max than it would have that. However, you've been fortunate enough to actually share some experiences on the track this year with Max as well. I've seen some moments of Jimmy reacting when he's been out there as well. But I wrote down a quote that you put in one of your Instagram posts when talking about Verstappen's GT3 debut, which is, let's take a look at the bigger picture. This is huge for the Nürburgring racing and the region in general. This will have the same effect at increasing popularity as what Sabine Schmitz did with her Top Gear transit lap on the Nürburgring all those years ago.
Yeah.
Do you really think that in 2026, because of the stuff that's happened with Maxia this year, that this place is just going to be crazy?
1,000,000,000%. I mean, having like simply the data that I know now, because I'm very well connected in the region, either having my own businesses or hearing what other people are saying, you can already see that, first of all, like the live streams, like, that were when Max did his racing. I think the increase, it was like 30-fold or something, 30 times more audience. And that was not even like publicized a lot in advance. He was just like, yeah, people knew it was going to come and race, and that's kind of it. But if he would go compete really, and people would be actually actively following it, because every time he would come to the Nürburgring, the amount of people watching in real life or online would be increasing, because more people were aware of the fact that he is coming. And more of these people were all of a sudden aware that a place like Nürburgring exists, that it still exists, that you can watch Max Verstappen drive. You need to come there, book a hotel to watch him, and guess what? After that, after he has raced, you can go and drive yourself with your own car during public session. And this is happening already now. This has happened this year. This is happening for next year, because the amount of bookings from rental car companies, from hotels, from race teams that run lounges at NLS or like 24-hour race, it has skyrocketed compared to previously, because people all of a sudden know that there is such a place available and possible. And guess what? They might be able to see Max Verstappen.
Is it a good thing for the Nürburgring? Because we know that from our previous discussions how busy the ring has got over the years, just from your influence on it, for example. And we were talking about someone with millions and millions of views. And then to say that when Verstappen comes, it can have that increase of, say, 30-fold is absolutely insane. But can the ring actually cope with that in terms of people on track getting time?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, the only problem that you have when it comes to having too many people is then during the public session, because that is not regulated by the amounts of people that you can have on track. Because on a busy like Sunday, you see numbers because you have a counter at the track that shows how many cars there are on track at the same time. I've seen as high as 500 plus cars at the same time on track. Now, when you divide 21 kilometer or 21,000 meters by 500, you still have a couple of 100 meters between every car. So it's technically maybe not that bad.
The world's biggest DRS train.
Yeah, but not everyone is running the same pace, of course. So you are having lots of traffic and traffic jam, etc., etc. But when you have sanctioned events, like track days, they only allow maximum 140 registrations.
Yeah.
So at the same time on track, you might have 20, 30 cars, and you have one car each kilometer, and then you still need to catch up with them with the difference of pace. So that's the only, I would say, the problem you might have is that the public session gets too crowded.
But what about the pros? What is, from that quote, what is it going to bring?
What's it going to bring? It's going to bring the popularity. It's going to bring, by popularity, this means all the like other businesses here around the track, hotels, workshops, any kind of companies can profit from it. People who have a dream to do something at the Nürburgring, because 2 years ago I was working for other people mostly. Now I'm starting my own company, and many of other companies in the last 5 years and definitely 10 years are actually brand new from someone who had a dream and decided to come here to the Nürburgring, ended up cleaning toilets for the first year, and then started his own guest house, and then or his first rental car, which was an old rusty E36, and now has a fleet of 10 cars or 20 or even more. So if this is something that will allow people to realize their dreams, fair play, great. At the same time, a lot of people are heavily either invested on a business level into this region, to the Nürburgring, because they have a business running here. But also, a lot of people are simply invested from a passionate level because they're simply car owners. They love to come here and drive the track, and etc., etc.
Just like Max, really. Even though he's so competitive,
just like
he wouldn't be here without the passion.
Whoever it is. And we need to protect this place because it might also vanish and disappear one day because it's maybe either not profitable enough, or maybe it is no one is going to notice if someone deliberately will shut this down. Speaking about political parties, about like whatever, the green people, the extreme left, extreme right, all the extremes who just want to have populist opinion and shut this place down because, you see, we've done something great for whichever reason, what else. But if the trade-off to shut this place down is much higher than the actual gain, then it's going to be more difficult. So yeah, the popularization of this place and car industry and car scene in general is much better, definitely. And also realizing the dreams of drivers, like, potential drivers who do not have the huge budget to go and race. But they can see that just by being a sim racer, you can progress into pro driving like we have shown, and they can make their dream come true. So overall, I think it's a great thing when something becomes bigger. And if the region can capitalize on that, great. If the track can capitalize on that, even better. Now, whether they can actually do it because the government might be restricting them from making an extra entrance or expanding the roundabout, that's a different story. And this can actually elude us into the next point, is that this year we had also quite a big increasement of bad behavior on the streets.
Yes, someone binned it the other day.
Only the other day. We had actually, I might as well say it, we had actually a lethal accident this year. Actually, a number of lethal accidents. One of them was actually two locals. So it's not that someone was driving like a maniac. There was like an unfortunate overtake and there was a head-on collision, which could still be avoided like every other thing. But one of them was actually a result of speeding and, going too fast and actually killing someone in the process. So things like that happen. People do deliberately gather at the boulevard, do burnouts, do street races. There have been like really crazy and stupid things here. But this is the result of, the popularity of places, because the bigger place gets, the bigger percentage, or like the percentage of bad behavior. I do not want to say any kind of bad words on this podcast. But if percentage of bad behavior is 0.5 or 1% over 1,000 people, you're going to have maybe just one or two persons. But if all of a sudden you have 1 million people, it's going to be a couple of them more.
You're going to notice it.
You're going to notice that. And that's the same what is happening now-ish, is that. And the same goes also back to the crashes on the Nürburgring. It's not that everyone crashes here all the time because they like to crash, or because, of course, it's a more demanding place. Would you have here non-stop 500 cars at the same time, so even just 1% of crashes is here going to be more noticeable than any other track on the world. So,
well, could you talk us through, if it's going to get that popular? We'll get back to why a minute, which was because of what Max has brought to it, especially in 2025. Mm-hmm. Can you give some context to Max's journey at the ring in 2025? Because at the beginning of the year, although he'd driven on track, I believe he'd done only 3 laps. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Before for the proper laps before actually getting in that car and setting an unbelievable pace.
It's been too many laps ago for me to remember exactly the amount of laps he's done, but it was something between 3 and 5. And he unofficially has set the lap record by then already, actually, with his Ferrari GT3. Now, then he never made it a secret of saying that he wants to race here eventually. And to be able to race here, unlike most of the tracks, next to your racing license, you need to have a Nordschleife permit. It's something that they have introduced back in 2015. It's a course you need to do. Then you start with you need to drive with a slow car. I think now, as of today, the regulations are to do 18 laps with a slow car and then finish top like 30% of the first race. You need to finish, I think, top 60% of your class and then top 40 or 30. Every year they change the regulations, but regardless, so you need to start with a slow car. And so he had to do it in the first time he came here. He had to drive with a slow Cayman.
I remember this, and this was between the F1 weekends, wasn't it? Because it was almost laughable that he was finishing the Formula 1 weekend and then coming straight here and then having to race a Cayman. Yeah. But he did mental in that, right? He didn't like win, but for the power of the car compared to other stuff, he did finish up there. Right.
Yeah, he did finish there. I don't even remember if he won, but yeah, he did set the fast time there, or the fastest time. It was very good. And regardless of the result, the coolest thing, what I find about it, is that he didn't make a big deal out of it, saying like, oh, do you know who I am? Why do I need to drive a slow car? You know, he actually openly said, I think rules are rules and everyone needs to do it. And it is important that he does that because he gets to experience the speed differences between a slow Cayman or a slow Dacia and a GT3 car when he's being overtaken. So when he's driving GT3 car next time, he will know that the car ahead of him probably is not seeing him, because simply when he looked in the mirror, it was not there. And then he went for the corner and then the car was there. So that just shows him like, hey, this is how it feels to be in a slower traffic, basically, when you're going to be the faster one. That's just like my opinion, but I think that's important. But it's cool that he said rules are rules and I need to do it.
And the racing he then went to do in GT3 was in that car that he did his first laps in, which was the Ferrari 296 GT3.
Yes, correct.
We were talking off camera earlier, was saying that is basically the closest thing Ferrari's done to a car that could be as iconic as the GT3 RS around the Nürburgring in future years to come. Like, it's a very good Ferrari on the Nürburgring.
It's amazing. You know, funny enough, we're getting sidetracked here maybe in a bit, but 296, surprisingly, I mean, I've driven this car this year and I fell in love with it, that I'm now actually actively looking at buying one, for a reason that the amount that the car is delivering for the price that people are asking for it. And because, maybe I should not say it because now the value is going to go up again, but the value of 296 have absolutely dropped. And I do not know whether it's because it's a hybrid and people want to have naturally aspirated 458 or just a turbocharged 488 or a F8 Tributo. But the value compared for what they were going for a year ago or so, 2 years ago, have absolutely like dropped, and you get quite a lot of car for the value that they're asking for it. So it's a fantastic car. Yes, the 296.
And in GT3 spec, it's pretty phenomenal too, because that's what he chooses to race.
We have to understand here that GT3 cars have nothing to do with street cars. Absolutely nothing.
They're that far disconnected.
Yeah.
It's essentially just the bodywork you're using.
The outside shape, in terms of headlights and the ABC pillars of the roofline, are the same, but all the body components, it's different. The engine is completely different. For example, when I speak of GT3 car, I mean, aside from the Aero facts and the brakes and suspension, etc., the GT3 car of Ferrari does not even have a hybrid system because it's not allowed. You're not allowed to have a hybrid system in the GT3 class, so it's running just the normal V6. For example, in the AMG cases, even when you have something very loud just started outside. It sounds like a
Aventador?
No, I'm gonna say it's a high revving 5.2 liter V8 because the Capricorn hypercar was being set up on the 4-post rack or 7-post rack of Bilstein across the street today. So I think it's the Capricorn car, which is essentially a very tuned American Shelby motor, or like something derived from that. Anyway,
to not get sidetracked again, go back to Max and his GT3 car.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say about the AMG, the AMG version of the GT3. You have the AMG GTR that you had yourself. It has a V8 twin turbo, but the AMG GT3 that has the appearance of that one is using still the 6.2 naturally aspirated V8 from the previous SLS generation, basically, because NA engines are more manageable on the track, basically.
Faster responsiveness, no turbo lag.
Not even that, but like heat management, less complexity. It can be better if you then just need to have much more displacement. So, but to compensate for the lack of forced induction.
Okay.
But yeah, most of the cars have completely different engines. So yeah, to summarize, the GT3 Max drove is a bespoke race car to compete up to the regulations with the GT3s.
But the way he drove it.
Oh yeah, no, of course, this was insane. He did not manage to set the lap record because in qualifying, when the track was fully empty, it was wet. So it was wet and damp. And after that, when the track dried up, there were some yellow flags and code 60s. So you could not set the faster time than it was. Than he could for the actual lap record of the track. Later, of course, he was extremely fast and faster than anyone else out there. And it was actually quite interesting to see, definitely.
Because it's not just him, like you guys doing your team for the NLS race. It was him and another driver, right? And that other driver had come from sim racing as well.
Exactly. It was Christopher Lallam, a British driver that also started in sim racing and then was noticed by Max Verstappen because, well, he was racing together with him for Team Redline, their official sim racing team. And yeah, he has put him actually, I think, last year under VerstappenRacing.com in SRO Championship, I think.
So the guy's quick.
The guy is very quick. I think this year he actually won the championship in the sprint or endurance series. I'm not that up to date. I was up to date when I was like focusing on that particular content, but I know he's highly successful. So definitely.
How big was Max's win? Max's gag? So I saw someone talking about it that previously won that race and was saying that he just was like, this guy is in a different league. Because I love talking about natural talent.
Yes.
Like, because it's so, it's road to success, right? Natural talent is a blend, a mixture, a recipe that can't always be replicated for years and years and years. And if you look at snooker, you have somebody like Ronnie O'Sullivan come along that like barely anybody, you get the Mark Selby's that are good and others, but barely anyone can recreate what Ronnie O'Sullivan can do and what he's like. And in darts, have Luke Littler, who's probably going to captivate all of us for years to come because he's just the way he is. He's so good. And in racing, I look at Verstappen in my era as that person that holds that halo. And do you think it's as good as what people make it out to be online, is what I'm saying? The gaps, the performances, the deliverables.
So it's not a simple yes or no question. I mean, is it that good? Yes, 100%. Is it pure talent? In the baseline of everyone out there, of course, someone is more talented for one way or the other. But in racing, there's so much more than talent alone. And Max, like many other F1 drivers, was fortunate enough, to have budget and also have someone behind him, which was and still is his father. There are even like some stories online that show a complete extreme version of how his father have pushed him towards being a driver by being extremely aggressive. There are stories out there that, for example, where Max didn't perform well in the race, and then after the race, he wouldn't take his helmet off for 3 hours because he was crying because his father lost his shit, basically. Is that a good thing? Do I want the same for my son? I don't know. But was he talented? Yes. Did he got institutionalized up to a point that he has a simulator on his flying jet, which is, I think, actually not true, but the stories are there. And that he is so crazy that he's a drug addict in a way of he needs to race. Like him doing NLS between two F1 races, that's a joke compared to what he done last year when he was racing 24 hours of iRacing on the Nürburgring while racing at the same time F1 race.
He got told off for that, right?
He got told off, but he won both.
And I think that's the problem. You're only they say in videos you're only as good as your last video. It's very easy to forget those things because suddenly Verstappen comes along in the GT3. But
exactly. So
that did happen.
Yeah. So, but basically what I'm getting at, he has so many years of experience, and the pro drivers and the pro F1 drivers are so good because they started when they were 4 years old, maybe 5. Some of them go as crazy as 3.5. Maybe Jos, his father, was one of them who said, like, okay, you can walk now, you get in the cart. And actually, Max's sister posted this, like an Instagram reel, I think, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago or something, where her kids, that are now, I think, 3 or something, are already in a go-kart. And you have his dad or assistant or something running behind with a leash behind the go-kart to pull the kill switch if the kid goes too fast. That's how crazy that is. But what I'm getting at, when you have then, for you and me, a young person or a kid of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, come to the racetrack and beat other guys, I'm sorry, but at that time, they already have 14 years of high pressure experience behind them where they need to perform because there are a lot of stake, there is a lot of emotional pressure for kids because they fuck sponsorship money. Like, you know, you don't want to upset your sponsors. You do not want to upset your parents. You know, you think like, oh, I do not want to upset my dad, or even worse, he might beat me up. And they are to that point, like winning for them is more than just like P1 to 3. It's about that. And they have this kind of killer instinct that they go out there to win. And they have 14 years behind them. I am right now, last week I turned 36. I started driving for fun on track when I was 21. I started racing more or less professionally when it was 2019, so I was 29, 30 years old. So you could say I have 5 years of professional racing experience. I'm competing up top there. But the kid who is like 18 years old and comes and kicks my ass, it's not impressive because he has 10 years more experience than I have at this point in a much more stressful environment. So to summarize all of that, F1 drivers are definitely a completely different league because they were really prepped to do that. And if they have everything to make it happen, and by that I mean the budget, of course, to get there, because like even in go-karting, when you start your first years, if you want to race professionally, it's already €250,000 plus. Well, not every parent can afford that. Let's be honest, most of them cannot. So yeah, it's a completely different league out there. And if you happen to like it, and actually not just doing it because you ended up doing it, you can go completely different mile and do extremely great things.
I remember one of the first F1 drivers that you ever did a video with was Robert Kubica, right? And I think it could be still your most viewed video on the channel.
It is, yes.
So you've already had previous F1 drivers come out and do videos with you at the ring, and we've seen people like Liam Lawson out on the track before having fun, and like all these guys love to come here, and now Max. Do you see a future for like your content as it evolves with the businesses alongside it, that someone like Max you could eventually get in one of the videos, or another driver, or do you see that going that way with the popularity of the Nürburgring and how much they love racing here?
I mean, I don't know, because over the years, of course, I had like cool collabs, guests, opportunities, you name it. Could it happen? Yeah, 100%. Do I want it to happen? I can straight up say, for me, like doing a lap with Max on a passenger seat or whatever, even in a slow car, that would be the one thing that I would want to do, like in terms of content. Because like I have so much respect for the guy, and his love for the Nürburgring, that would be very well resonate for my channel, basically. And even like simply for the vibes. Honestly, I would even do it off camera.
I think one of my favourite videos all year, and I actually first said this to Jay Leno, because like in the background of our shot today, just out of shot when I did the podcast with Jay Leno a couple of months ago, was his new Mustang
GT
he had delivered.
Yeah.
That was the same one that Chris Harris and Max went out and did the video on. And as much as I've tried to get Chris Harris on this podcast many times and he's not quite ready for it, but we're going to keep trying, I'm happy to say that probably was up there with one of the best videos I've ever watched. That video of him and Max in that car. And I'd love to see Max come to the ring and create something of similar ilk, because it was special.
And I think going back to the fact that Max's performances, achievements, or his racing experience at the Nürburgring has already made it extremely popular and will make it even more popular. And I said it also in my video when I've done the analysis. When Max does a lap of TF, game over. It's going to be then so popular because then people realize.
Just explain what that is for the people that don't know what that is.
Public session Nürburgring.
Okay.
Where you can come when people realize like, oh,
I could be out with Max on track.
I can be out with Max. Oh, Max has went there this amount of kilometers per hour. I'm going to try to beat that. Which is, of course, already happening. Like, people try to, I don't know, say that they are faster or compare them with the world's greatest, et cetera, et cetera. But, to show that people can do something simple like that, I think that's good.
And do you think he'll do that? Do you think he'll head out on some public sessions if he's spending more time here?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. It's I don't know what his contractual obligations and limitations are when it comes to
F1.
Well, yeah, F1 or his sim racing.
The fact that he has to go and do his day job.
Yeah, exactly. No, related to that, it's an honest concern. He may or may not be allowed to do it, and if he is allowed, then great. He might not want to do it because it's also when you get to this level of popularity, you cannot just go over the street or over the track by yourself. So he might just go and do a lap in a private car, but do it either at least on a very private track day or a track day of his own, that he just rents the track for himself and does that. So the possibility is there, probability, I don't know. I'm just overthinking.
Does it describe, though, when we talk about him, a completely different character to most of the other drivers on the grid and previous drivers that you kind of know as well? Because can you think back and tell me that, because I'm a fairly new fan to Formula One, only 6-7 years, I started properly watching from kind of 2018 onwards, but I can't think of many examples of drivers that have wanted to do it all in such a way of doing a lot. I remember when Lewis started going out and driving some cars in the desert, for argument's sake, up slopes. That's completely the wrong words to use to describe what he was doing, because there's a lot more to it than that. But have you come across drivers that love the variance of racing as much as what Max does?
No, for sure. I mean, you have drivers that are known to drive simply everything and anything out there on track, different kind of racing levels, even bikes. For example, now the first one comes up to my John. I think Surtees. Surtees and Gurney. I think Surtees was doing both bikes and F1 cars. But even now, Valentino Rossi, the greatest MotoGP, is now racing GT3 cars, basically. So there are people out there. Or you mentioned Robert Kubica. The reason why he didn't make it this far into F1 due to his accident that he sustained to injury in rally, because he was enjoying rally as much, if not more, than F1, and he wanted to do everything at the same time, and now he has won Le Mans. So, which is also a very insane achievement, maybe even higher than certain F1 races, of course, because it's 24 hours on the top of the level.
Would you ever have a go at rallying? In the summer, I remember bumping into Holly McRae at Goodwood Festival of Speed. It then made me go back and watch a load of videos of Colin McRae. And it just makes you realise how superhuman some of those moments is. That, the barriers are the trees. The surface is changing like it is on the ring with oil and coolant from sand to gravel. There is so many different changes in that environment. Was that something that you'd ever do?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I would do that. I know I would not be because it's completely different discipline. Also there you need to start from the young age. So I would love to try it. And I'm actually working on to do something similar like the coming year. I have like an open invite to do something that I would like to make it happen. So yeah, in short, yes. Would I dedicate my life to it? Don't know.
But with things like this, for argument's sake, which is your wonderful coffee from Ristretto, and all the other bits that come with it, the chocolate and building the businesses.
By the way, my son chewed on this packaging. So
and building the businesses away from the circuit, do you still have those ambitions to go and race at the next level, the next level, the next level?
No.
Or are those ambitions shifting towards
they're shifting, absolutely, because also like this car here, this Civic that I bought, my goal was to build it to race the 24 hours of Nürburgring with this car, to build it to actually race the N24, and be successful in class, of course, yes. But after having had quite interesting 2 other N24 races over the last 2 years and also some other races, I realized I do not want to spend a lot of time and budget and dedication to persuade one particular event that might go completely tits up because of the weather, because someone might crash into me, or I might crash myself, or who knows what's going to happen, and then everything is done for nothing. I really want to enjoy life as it is and have as much fun as I can in a responsible manner, of course, as much as I can. So there is no like real goal chasing, Also, when we go to the basics of my, journey or success when it comes to YouTube channel, content creation, I never started it with a goal, or even I could not imagine that one day I'm going to have 100+ million views a month and 5 million followers who watch me simply for doing laps on the Nürburgring, or I don't know, or being able to turn my passion into a job. I never thought this was possible, and therefore, sorry for bumping your mic. I never thought it was possible in general, and neither was my goal, because I was just doing something what I liked, and I wanted to share that with people and interact with people, either ask them for advice for certain things with cars, or share the passion for the Nürburgring for cars, etc., etc. And this is something that I still like to do in every way, shape, or form. Whether it is in the laps or racing, I'm there for the experience. I want to drive cars. I want to build fast cars. And if we're going to achieve a certain goal, then great and sure. And the same goes for the business. I do not have a goal to have 10 million a month turnover and have 100 people working for me and being like Mantai, for example, partially owned by another big car manufacturer, or being something. I just want to do the best in what I'm doing without losing myself and the fun in doing of the certain thing. And the same goes also towards being a family man. Everyone, not everyone, but majority of comments for obvious reasons whenever I post something with my son, us being in the car or him watching me spectate from the sidelines, people say oh yeah, this is the next project for Verstappen, something this is the next N24.
And just to give context to that, literally 2 hours ago, Misha was taking a photo of his son in a race seat that had just turned up
yes.
in the unit. So I think the plan very much is that in the back of your head a long way off, but we'll see if it happens.
It's not the plan. It's just something I'm sharing the fun that I was not able to have as a kid myself, that I want him, if he has access to these experiences, great. Am I going to put him in a go-kart when he's 4 years old? Absolutely. If he says, nah, I don't like it, I want to dance ballet, well, let's go to the ballet school. The thing is, I want him to have all the support he can possibly have.
Without crying in the helmet for 3 hours.
Yes, definitely. Again, 2 sides of the story. If he says that I want to I want to race F1 one day, I'm okay, but it comes with a sacrifice and we need to do it. So of course there's going to be discipline and certain things, but am I going to have it in me to to push them to these extremes. I don't know, maybe.
I think that's actually a really nice way, because I wanted to at some point in this conversation bring up the thing that we started our first ever conversation with, which was your roots. And without going too deep and off on tangents of anything, we're sat here 2 years after our original conversation talking about your coffee brand, which people can go and visit your coffee shop in Nürburgring Boulevard. And we're sat inside the unit at Vulcan Alpha. There is literal 3D printers, 992 GT3 RSs, tyre walls upstairs. Outside, there are cars that you've been loaned from BMW and Lucid because they want to work with you. There's tens of millions of views. There's probably been thousands, and if not tens of thousands of views on your platform since we just started this podcast coming in. How insane is that to hear those stats kind of read back to you when you think where you were 10 years ago?
100%. No, it is insane on one way, that thinking back, because if I were 10 years ago, like I said before, I did not start YouTube because I wanted to reach a certain number or earn X amount of money or be able to drive a car or something. As a matter of fact, my progress as a content creator, as a business owner also, as a business owner, the last 2 years, it's been a bit more faster, but like when it comes to the content creation journey was very, very long, because up until I would say 3 years ago, I was never self-confident enough of seeing this is possible, this is what I can do, because of course you read success stories of Matt Rimac, Elon Musk, you name it, who came from humble beginnings or from nothing, or maybe of course they had access to have 30,000 euro of the starting fund from their daddy and they could make it into something big. But still you think okay, this is just a one-off success story. It's not going to happen today. Today is a different environment. It's not going to happen. But over the years, I have been inspired a lot by people that I know personally, not just from a hearsay from their story, and that I've seen coming from nothing and build something great. And I'm looking at them either thinking fair play to them, or great, or I'm thinking how the hell could he do that? Not because I think Elon Musk is someone that's crazy or something, but I know a person XYZ in person for 5 or 10 years. And I know that they're an absolute mess of a person. I'm thinking, if he can do it, then why can I not do it?
Well, that's often the case, and I often find it in these conversations that you don't quite tick right off of these people behind the scenes in one way or another. But to sit down and truly appreciate that, and not only that, the value that I want to give back to the audience in these conversations. We spend 2 hours talking. I want to make sure that people have taken in just one sentence away. And sometimes I find with these conversations, the viewers might agree with me, is that you can take one sentence away for the rest of your life.
Of course.
You shoot for the stars, but you'll end up at the moon. There's something that you'll remember for the rest of time. But I really do think it's important with the amount of people that kind of casually consume your content or come in from time to time, but still appreciate it, because there is so much going out from you. I think the biggest audience is probably the casual viewer necessarily. You've got a huge core audience, but there's a lot of casual at the same time. I think it's important, if they've joined this story, this journey over the last 2 years, to understand that when you look at racing, most of the time there is a background, there is some level of privilege to help get into it, but your story to get to what you've done today, and the people looking in and thinking that is amazing, that really has been off your own back from making your own dreams come true. So I think it's just really cool to kind of reflect on that for a minute.
No, for sure. And I hope I never thought I would be in this position, that I could be an inspiration to many others. But people do come to me in person and say hey, either great job, or you have inspired me to pursue my dreams as well. And I actually am now doing something that I like, and etc., etc. And yes, I do want to, weirdly enough, underline that I came here in 2015 with being broke and actually in debt, because I had a job offer, because I needed a job to survive. And you can actually go back to those videos in my content when I was helping to run a hotel, and I was cleaning rooms, bringing dirty laundry, cleaning the hotel, the toilets essentially, and here I am today, having Nürburgring's biggest media outlet, because again, over 100 million views a month, over 1 billion views a year, and multiple businesses and etc. And it's I think it's quite good that I managed to achieve that in 10 years. And if I can do it again, just like my ADHD silly friend of mine who I never thought how he can do it, everyone can do it. With the right mindset. Again, shoot for the stars and you might end up on the moon if you want to go to the moon. If you want a pony, ask for a unicorn. It's harder to survive success than a failure.
So is this the happiest you've ever been?
Oof. That's a very nice question to ask. I think so. I mean, happiest in the essence of realizing that I have everything in life that I can wish for, because I have loving wife and son who are healthy. I'm healthy, knock knock, everyone and everything. I have a roof above my head, which was not always the case over the past. I was not always in a happy relationship. I was not always I was unhappy as a kid. I was always dreaming to have a family of my own. So this for me is already like, I've made it in life. I never thought I could have a truck car, let alone building €250,000 on the Civic. Or like when I came here to the Nürburgring, like I was not doing any laps. And then I thought like, okay, maybe one day I could do a lap. Maybe one day I could have a track car. And now I'm racing in the top of the level, and we are the most watched race team around the world after F1 when you combine all our numbers together. So, yeah, I think this is...
So what is the biggest risk you've taken to achieve that? Is it financial, or is it putting your life on the line out on that track?
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, then definitely putting my life out on there on track. But when you're doing that, you're just you need to have a certain mindset of like, either I'm going to be as careful as I can be, or having this stupid mindset is not going to happen to me. Or if it's going to happen to me, don't cry for me, because, like, the Paul Walker saying.
So do you have the latter?
Oh, no, well, not anymore. Not after becoming a family person, and not even that, and having just a responsibility over the businesses and employees and et cetera, et cetera. So, but in the past, I mean, it's not that you are actually, you might be saying that, but it's not that you're actually thinking that, but you just like, you're not thinking about the bad things that are going to happen. And this is also what separates a business founder, businessman, business owner, because you're not focusing on the limitations. You're focusing on the goal. You're not thinking like, oh, okay, I cannot do something because the TÜV regulation does not allow me, so my business is not going to succeed because I'm based at the Nürburgring or in Germany where my wings or splitters need to be street legal. Well, guess what? There's the whole world out there. Why don't we focus on the whole world? Let's do that. So like, do not see limitations. And like, if something, so the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, for sure.
Well, I think this has given people an insight into everything that's gone on this year. A lot of different things from the past, and some bits from, let's be honest, the greatest Nürburgring expert currently on the market.
You're going to piss off so many people, but it's good for the comment section.
Misha, thank you so much for coming on, not only talking about Vulcan Alpha, talking about your friends like Jimmy that you spent so much time racing with, as I point over to his Ferrari 360, by the way, which is
that
what
we're building.
And before that,
yeah.
Talking about all the laps, all the videos, all the content, and the people in between. Thank you for spending another bit of time in the van for this slightly pre-Christmas Christmas special. It's like the kind of Christmas party that companies get booked in a bit earlier because it's a bit cheaper, but you're going away. So that's what we'll put it down to. So thank you so much yet again for having a chat with us on Road to Success.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to coming back again, I hope.
Chat number 62.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Who knows? I mean, as you pointed out, the changes are quite massive from the very first time that we have met. And who knows where we're going to be in
It's a nice reference point actually for people, because it's a little bit like when people get the chance to go on star in a reasonably priced car, or did in the past, and they get the reference point of the times and they know where they sit versus somewhere else. But this is different because it gives people a chance to come back on and even pitch themselves against themselves in a period of time. So I hope we do get to episode 62 one day.
That'll be nice, and then maybe then we talk about how my son or daughter, maybe at the time, it was actually a fun thing. Well, ADHD brain kicking in again. My wife saying there's a very high chance she thinks that my son Marco is not going to be into cars, but if and when we get a daughter, that she's going to be a crazy one, that she's going to be into racing. Don't know why, but you have to trust woman's intuition. So let's see.
You said it now, so in the future this could be clipped up and we'll put it together somewhere.
That'll be cool.